What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the best things about being Canadian. So today, I really want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked about the reasons to be happy as a Canadian. So they go on to say, given all that's going on in the world, let's take an opportunity to remind ourselves what an awesome country we live in. And they ask, why are you happy to be Canadian? So this is just a discussion that sounded super interesting to me. I think because as an American myself, my whole life I've heard and I've been told about how amazing the United States is. That's all I've ever heard about. So today, I'm really interested to hear about what Canadians think are some of the best things about Canada and living in Canada and being Canadian. I'm really interested in hearing about that perspective. So let's take a look at some of the comments here, starting with the healthcare system saved my life. In the States, it would have cost me my house, my job, ruined my family, seriously. And we are blessed to live in Canada. Yeah, I bet there's so many people who share this very same sentiment. If you've had life saving care in Canada, so much of that stuff, so much of that healthcare and services here in the United States really, really could bankrupt you. Like they say, ruin your life, which would be ruining your family, your house, your job. I think most Canadians understand how the American healthcare system works based on having healthcare insurance. That is extremely, you better have that. That's all I can say. You better have healthcare insurance if you're in the United States because they charge you with that in mind when you go to the hospital or emergency room or whatever when you get care. They price everything expecting your insurance to kick in and pay for whatever 90% of it or whatever. But if your emergency room bill is $10,000, if you have to pay 10% of that, even with insurance, that's still $1,000. Most people, don't just have $1,000 to, have in case of an emergency or just to spend all at once on something. That could really ruin your financial situation right there. Anyway, I don't mean to go on like some kind of rant about American healthcare. I think I've done that plenty in other videos, but when I see stuff like this, like Canadians really praising the Canadian healthcare system, how you guys pay taxes and those taxes are used to fund the healthcare. I love that. Man, I would feel great if I knew my taxes were paying for my healthcare and I didn't have to worry about uh, having the right insurance and being in network at the right hospital and paying the deductible and the co in payments and oh my god. Okay, don't get me started. Um, Two parents who underwent cancer treatment and one who had at home palliative care support while I did her end of life care. I'm not laughing at this person's. Oh my God. Let me be clear. I'm not laughing at their cancer treatment or their palliative care. I'm laughing at how if you rewind a little bit and listen to me speak this sentence, that sounded like an alien, an alien who has never spoken English before was reading. Oh my God. Anyway, let's try this again. Two parents who underwent cancer treatment. One who had at home palliative care support while I did her end of life care. Okay. Oh my God. People are going to think I'm laughing at cancer. Jeez. A child who just had significant orthopedic surgery now gets provincially funded physiotherapy. And a partner who has an annual checkups for heart conditioning and who may have fully funded surgery. Wow, fully funded surgery. I've never heard that phrase in my life. Fully funded surgery. That's a word in Canada? You can do that? I'm super thankful for our healthcare system. Seriously, for the most part, most Americans like get by, and it's like you go to the doctor and you have to pay $50 or whatever your insurance says, and most Americans get on fine. But it's really when you have these big life-altering surgeries and treatments and that are extensive and expensive. That's what really that's where you run into trouble in the American healthcare system. The care, the treatment is good. Like I've always liked my doctor, and when I've gone to the emergency room, I got really good care and great nurses. But it's not a matter of the treatment or the services. It's the payment that's really prohibitive for a lot of people and scary. Okay, that absolutely I think deserved to be one of the top comments in this whole discussion. What do Canadians love about Canada? The healthcare and the peace of mind that brings, and just the fact that your taxes are going towards that, a good cause. That's all awesome. That is, yeah, I love that for you. I mean, that sounds great. All right, what are some other things Canadians love about being Canadian? The nature. Yes, the nature. I've seen some of the nature in YouTube videos, at least. Super underrated. A lot of Americans don't realize like how beautiful Canada is. And a lot of very diverse geographies and also depending on where you go in Canada, there's so many different little things to see, and there's beaches in Canada. I learned that. It's like, what? Since when? Like most Americans never associate like beautiful lakes and beaches and prairies or wherever you are in Canada. We just think it's frozen over. the the universal health care mentioned again, and of course the people of Canada. Yes, that's just like the third part of their little statement here, but you can really dive into that. The people, something to love about Canada. And when they say the people, I think that extends to like the society, how Canadians behave, your culture, how you're like the friendliness and the empathy that you guys show each other and others. And yeah, it can't be overstated how wonderful and how much that can influence like your happiness living in a good society of people. Anyway, I don't know if this guy meant to go that deep, but that really struck a chord with me. I just came back from the Rockies, so I'm still high on mountain air. Good for you. It is Canada. You could be high on other things too, but Rocky mountain air, that's good. Probably healthier. I agree. The nature, natural resources, fresh water, high quality of life, political stability, and all that. Yes, they're not perfect, but the fact that you don't have to sell your soul and everything you own to be able to go to school or get a routine surgery. Certainly the surgery and healthcare part. I don't know, like school, like university and college, right? Isn't it a lot more affordable in Canada? It's been a while since I've been in college, the good old days. So I stopped thinking about that, and I try not to think about how much student loans I had to take out and pay back, and geez, that'll give you nightmares remembering that. But in Canada, isn't the schooling a lot more affordable? I'm not sure exactly how much it costs or what the situation is, but I've heard that before. You don't have to sell your soul and everything you own to go to college, university. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's awesome. That's super underrated. Because in America, it's just a fact of life in America. When you go to college, it's going to cost a ton of money, and you're probably going to go into debt. If you don't have some kind of scholarship or aid, or maybe your parents helping you, you're going to go into a lot of debt. And it's just really a matter of acceptance. Like, we not getting accepted to the college, but accepting that you're gonna have to pay back a lot of money and take out a huge loan at such a young age, not really understanding the ramifications of that at the time. Not that I'm talking from personal experience or anything. I think a lot of people in Canada take these for granted. Well, that's one of the great things about living in a place like Canada. It's important to not take things for granted. Um, like you always think when you get sick and you have a cold and you have a super stuffy nose or chapped lips, you're like, I'm never gonna take being healthy for granted. Or if you're just sick in some other way, you're like, I'm never gonna take it for granted being healthy. But then inevitably, most of the time, you do get healthy and you do take it for granted. But I don't think that's a bad thing, actually. I think having the privilege of taking things for granted is like wonderful, and it's actually something that makes us all very happy without realizing it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, don't take not going into student loan debt for college and not having to pay huge healthcare bills. Yeah, it's good to not take that for granted, but what I'm saying is the fact that you Canadians, you don't have to worry about that stuff. Um, that's such a wonderful way to live. Much less stress, probably gives you a lot of peace of mind, and yeah, it's just something I've thought about. Like, I love not thinking about being sick. I don't just sit around like, feels good to be healthy. Feels good. I should think that, but there's something really awesome about just um, being happy and healthy and having cool stuff like this, and uh, not having to think or stress about it and be like, oh, thank goodness I have this. Thank goodness I have this. That's a real privilege that we have, and it sounds like Canadians have a lot of cool stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense, but yes, it's not perfect. In fact, far from it. We've so much to learn from the rest of the world, but we're also so blessed. Ha! You know this is a Canadian. You know this is this is not an American here. We have so much we can learn from the rest of the world. Ha! Never heard that in America. I mean, I'm exaggerating. Like, not all Americans are bad or anything, but that's a great outlook to have. Like, being open minded like that. Um, People forget if you were born just a few hundred kilometers south, you're in the United States. Oh boy. Where the number one cause of bankruptcy is healthcare debt. Yeah, we're talking a lot about healthcare here. I guess when you ask the question, the topic of today, what are the best things about being Canadian? Um, you guys really appreciate your healthcare system, and that's great. um, and I think a lot because this is a huge point of stress and honestly absolute horror for a lot of Americans. Over 1 million Americans declare bankruptcy over medical debt. Millions more carry it with them. There's wars ravaging families and children across the seas. That's true. We should remember that too. Okay, let's keep going here. This is good. This is a good discussion. A lot of cool insights that the Canadians commenting here have about Canada. And a lot of stuff I can kind of relate back to the United States from my perspective of like, wow, that sounds better in Canada, actually. Not losing all your money, getting some stitches. I love looking out my window, seeing a car stuck in the snow. Really? then flocking out to help with all my neighbors. What? What is this? This this sounds like, what are they called? That channel, Hallmark channel. This sounds like a Hallmark movie. Hallmark movie where everyone's getting out of their cars, flocking to help someone stuck in the snow. This sounds like a fantasy to me. This sounds like a movie. This sounds made up. That's how far off this is from American culture. All of us in shorts or PJs or housecoats, boots, and hoodies. Shorts? Shorts, you see a car stuck in the snow. You flock out like a Canadian goose. You flock out. Interesting choice of word. In your shorts in the winter. It's the most Canadian scene I've ever heard of. What the heck? I love seeing the relieved smile. The relieved smile on the face of my cab driver or waitress or tour guide when I'm traveling. And they ask where I'm from, and I say, Canada. Wow. That's something I never really think about. I guess because I've kind of just accepted the stigma that Americans have. Plus, I don't travel. I'm very, very stuck in my ways here in the United States. But that's kind of true for most Americans. Most Americans, like the United States is so big, we just travel around America to all the states. Like I haven't even been to half the states. So I certainly haven't been to another country where I get to be like, oh, I'm American. And they're like, oh, geez, God. But so this is kind of funny for me to think about. For Canadians, it is true. All over the world, I think Canadians are really well liked. Yeah, when you travel places and you say you're Canadian or you got a Canadian flag on your backpack, you can do that with pride and without having any kind of worry of what people will think of you, other than they're probably going to think good things. Because Canada is really well respected and loved. Canadian culture and people in the world. That's really powerful. And that says a lot. That's really cool. I'd be kind of nervous to be like, I'm from America. I don't know why I have to have that smile. I think it's so they take it easy on me. I want them to take it easy on me, so I try to act real simple and overly friendly. I'm from America. They just run away because I'm scaring them. I love the vicious goose, the noble moose. What are we writing poetry here? And the fact that the only animal who also happens to be an anarchist architect is our informal mascot? Huh? Is that the goose or moose or beaver? I love that our flag is ours again, like the Canadian flag. I love when I send my kid to school, I'm not worried about him staying warm and not getting shot. American reference right there. It depends on where you are in the United States. For the most part, I think for Canadians, the idea of a society where we can all own guns and carry them is frightening and disturbing, and it for good reason. But funny enough, if you're an American like me, if you live your whole life here, you're not actually in constant fear of getting shot and people having guns. That's depending on where you live, I should say. I've been privileged in that respect to not worry about that. I love that I can watch TV without constant political medication and personal injury lawyer ads. You guys don't have that in Canada? You don't have like ads for prescription drugs? We do. Not one of our banks has failed since 2001. Wow. I love our beautiful money. Yeah, it's cool money. Bloodthirsty and skilled hockey players. God, bloodthirsty. Jeez. Universal health care. Robust food inspections. Yeah. Yeah, American food is, God. the food dyes and the sugars and preservatives and artificial sweeteners. I'm pretty sure America is unique in what we allow in our food. So, yeah, your food inspections being robust, that's actually really good. Apparently, my American brain is just like overflowing with microplastics or something. I read that. Approachable law enforcement. Ha ha ha! Wow, approachable. This stuff makes me laugh because it's like so opposite American culture. This stuff Canadians love. You have approachable law enforcement, do you? Are Canadian police like actually nice and approachable? Because in America, the police are supposed to be public servants and like protect you. But man, the outlook on American law enforcement has really gone downhill the last few years. And a lot of Americans are actually very uncomfortable around American police. Probably for good reason. There's been a lot of high profile cases around that. Yeah, it'd just be nice to have friendly. Don't get me wrong. There's some friendly police. Like I'm not throwing American police under the bus. Most American police I've interacted with were actually really nice people doing their job. But there's always some bad apples, as they say. But that doesn't. That it still means the prevailing sentiment is still, whether it's true or not. A lot of Americans and people are uncomfortable around American police. So the fact that Canadians, you like your police, that's awesome. That's great. That's how it should be as public servants. So anyway, at the risk of just rambling on even more and more, I think I'm going to stop here for now. This was really, really interesting. Really awesome to hear about, frankly. Like I said, as an American, I hear the American perspective all the time. Growing up, I was taught how great America is and the reasons to be grateful for living here. And I certainly never heard about the reasons to be happy in other countries or what we could learn from other countries. So, for that reason, I really enjoyed this Canadian perspective here today. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any reasons you, as a Canadian, why are you happy to be in Canada? What do you appreciate about being Canadian? That would be awesome to hear more about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and learning about Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.